we're doing a disservice if we don't teach them tech. I mean, you can balance the tech, and it breaks my heart to see teachers struggling because these kids learn differently. I don't teach the same way I used to teach.
Hey everyone, my name's Kyle Walgren. Yes, this is another episode of the Business Education. Today's guest I found on the cover of EdTech K-12 magazine. That's when I first got interested in her story. But she spent 33 years in education. She's now known as the Green Screen Gal. Our guest is Erica Sandstrom. Erica, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh my goodness, thanks for having me. I absolutely love your work.
Erica, I saw you for the first time on the cover of EdTech K-12 magazine. This is a big deal. What did you think when they reached out to you? What were your thoughts?
Well, the funny thing is, first of all, I asked them, I'm like, how did you find me? And the breathing bubbles is part of it. But she said, I saw you in a post that you put where you fell down on the green screen, because I don't have any shame with that. I just kind of show people that sometimes you make mistakes. And she said, I just had to meet you. And then they said, we'd love to do an article on your work and on the mindfulness part of your green screen. So I just thought it was an article, because they don't tell you when you're going to be on the cover.
Right.
Because they're afraid you'll say no and freak out. But they said, well, we have scheduled a photographer for 6 hours. And this is the pose for an article. And I thought, 6 hours of hip holding. Okay, we'll do, and I was having fun with it. It was a blast. But by hour 5, I said, can we do something fun? I think you got the pose. Let's jump. And he was, yes. So we grabbed all my props, and EdTech magazine is very conservative, because every other cover you see them on the wall at their company is this, and then
you broke the mold.
Yeah, I didn't, but they didn't tell me I was on the cover, so it showed up at my school. My boss comes running up to my classroom. He's like, "Thanks for telling me about this." I'm like, "I didn't even know." So they surprised me. I was surprised.
Some of the greatest things in life are a surprise.
Well, you do what you love, you do what you're meant to do, and watch what happens. But I didn't
mentioned my breathing bubble.
My breathing bubble, yes.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I always assume everyone knows what a breathing bubble is. So quick thing is it's a breathing technique where you inhale for 3, hold your breath. I should have done one. Exhale for 3 and hold your breath. And if you do that for 1 minute, the power of that, I mean, there's a ton of science behind it, but all of the good hormones and all that good stuff comes back. It brings you back to the present moment, and it can take you out of fight or flight in 1 minute.
Oh, wow.
So I was using the calm breathing bubble. I am a proud woman with ADHD. I'm very good at it, the good and the bad parts. I'm excellent ADHD person. But so people laugh when they hear Erica's teaching mindfulness, because if you watch my Instagram, you'll understand. But so anyway, I was using the calm breathing bubble from the Calm app. And I said, wouldn't it be cool to personalize this and put a picture of my cat, or maybe a picture of one of the sunsets I take all the time, or something that would trigger calm for me or joy. So I designed these bubbles in a lot of programs, but the one that's out right now that's free for the world is in Canva. And it's a wonderful lesson where the kids can do this. They can put a little video of their dog in, and they can, I've had kids make one where there's a basketball that is their breathing bubble. So it's very visual, but so now it's called #MyBreathingBubble because it's personalized.
And then are your students using it?
Yes. And it has, and now it's kind of part of our classroom every day. It's, I teach middle school. Mm-hmm. I don't have to say much more than that, but the 6th graders, when they get a little nutty, I'm like, all right, everybody, let's stop. We're going to do a bubble. Or sometimes, they're so used to it. And I show them the science behind it and everything, but once they experience it, and now for years now I'm getting emails and things from high schoolers who had me. They're like, thank you for teaching me this. And so what we're doing now is I'm trying to get this lesson plan out there. So I make the educators do one first, because it has to start with them. Mm-hmm. If they're not calm, kids can't learn. If kids aren't calm, they can't learn. And it's a vicious cycle. So the teachers fall in love with it, and then they teach their students. So now my students are working with classrooms around the world. We're working with a classroom of high schoolers in China, Bangladesh, India, And I just got one from Costa Rica. And
That's really cool.
yeah.
So,
long answer, sorry, but
no, you're good. That's why we do this long
Yeah.
form podcast, is so you can kind of get the information out. My mind always starts wandering. My team sent you a lovely amount of questions. We haven't even got to them yet because I usually dive down the rabbit hole that our guests
I
want
like
to
the
go
rabbit
down.
hole.
I do too. I learned so much in it. So it's really nice to be able to dive in and learn and expand. I've actually follow a guy on Instagram named Gary Brecka that does some breathing focus lessons.
I need to know him.
He runs a health clinic. There's some in Florida and some in Phoenix, but in his past life, he was the insurance adjuster on death payouts, life insurance. And
Wow.
when he was doing the tests, he saw a lot of the same things from mineral deficiencies. All these people were having issues, but they all had these mineral deficiencies. So he started a company called 10X. It's called 10X Health Systems now, but he teaches this breathing exercise. But he also talks about like pure oxygen exercise and stuff like that as well. So it's a lot of breathing techniques that he focuses on, all minerals, no pharmaceutical medicines. It's really interesting.
I truly, there's so much more than just the bubble that we do, but I truly believe it could really help this planet a lot. And I always say the quote from a book I read that said, if you have anxiety and worry, you're living in the future. If you have shame, guilt, depression, and all that, you're living in the past. And I love the quote: "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf."
Right.
Every day with this world, we're hitting waves, and you could go with those waves, and by the end of the day, you're just done. Or you can recognize, oh man, I'm living in the future right now, and do a breathing exercise just for 1 minute and come back. And we're always missing the present moment. We're just missing it. I should have told you I'm a yoga instructor too.
No,
for 25 years.
That's great. I'm sure you've read the book The Secret then.
Of course.
So that's the book that changed my life and sent me on my path. I'll use the word blame just because I don't have another one. I blame my success for that book, on that book. It's really taught me a lot. But from the first time reading that book, it impacted my life. And then the second one came out, and the whole like visualization and meditation. And
it's part of it, yeah.
So now I'm friends with a guy by the name of Dave Meltzer, who was one of the people that wrote the second book with.
No
Ron
way.
Yeah. Oh, so I've gone from
I have to hang out with you.
I've gone from using this power of visualization and mindful and intentional energy, and I've brought myself right into the same crowd that's created this book. So it works. I feel meditation could be of value in anybody's life.
Well, you don't want to get me going on that. We'll never talk about anything else. But,
we brought you here to talk about media, though.
Yes, I know. But that is part of it.
Media and specialized in digital media, particularly green screen media. You've kind of pioneered bringing great green screen tech into the classroom. Tell us about that. That's what the article's about.
Yes.
That's what, you're known for.
Yes. It's kind of funny. I found the green screen. I always thought I wanted to be a meteorologist. And then I took a class and it was too much math. I'm like, I'm out. But it was the green screen. I was just fascinated. And this was a long time ago, before Hollywood even used green screens.
Yeah,
as much.
before every TikToker had one at their house.
Yeah, exactly. But they always use green screen or blue screens with the original. But then I got one, or I got a piece of green cloth, and I tried it, and I was hooked. And my first video was so bad. No tripod. We didn't have but I was running from a dinosaur, and I've never felt joy like that in my life. I was like, oh my God. And every time I get near that thing, I just giggle, even if it's the kids on the green screen. So I just started experimenting, and I've always, I've been teaching 33 years, so I have yellow chalk underneath my fingernails. I saw the internet invented my 7th year of teaching.
Oh, wow.
So for me to be this techie is ridiculous. So anyway, I started playing around with the green screen, and then people kept calling me the green screen queen. And I didn't like queen. I was just like, I just felt I don't want to be snobby or anything. So someone said, well, you need a name, green screen gal. And I never thought it would turn into what it is. The hard part is it's not just green screen, it's creative media. I teach animation, I teach graphic design. And what we have turned it into, and why I'm in the magazine, is the huge light bulb went on when I had this, that's a whole nother story, an experience. with a famous man I got bumped on a flight with Dr. Blaise Aguirre. He's like the king of he knows Oprah. Like he's the
Oh, wow.
king. Oh yeah. He's the king of mindfulness. And we got bumped on a flight together. It was so kismet. And since then I took my green screen media and all the fun we were having. And I said, I started practicing mindfulness. I said, we're going to make videos about mindfulness. And the very first one was a kid. There's a glitter jar. We've never heard of that before, where you shake up glitter. You just shake it for your kid because they're losing their mind. And you set it down and you have the student or the child just breathe until all the glitter settles. And it was one of the first magical, hey, this is good for kids. So we put a kid inside the glitter jar. He wanted to be in the glitter jar and teach people how to use this. And it just went viral. So yeah, went from there, and now kids teach. You have to see the Instagram.
So now you're a digital learning coach, digital media teacher, but you also create an event called the Green Screen Summit.
Yes, because silly Erica doesn't realize you should probably write a book first, or do something small. But no, let's have a green screen summit. And then I worked with the owners of Do Ink app. It's amazing green screen app. And I said, they said, how about we put not just in front of it, a green screen summit, because it was all about creative media, but also I always tell people I'm not just into the green screen and removing backgrounds. You can do that with AI now. It's the experience for the kids.
Right.
Filming is this much of the whole process, as you know, and the social emotional learning that happens on the green screen. I mean, they even get in arguments, and then we swoop in and teach I statements, and so just having the kids off their phones, talking to each other, even if they're the director behind the scenes, it's the most powerful experience. So that's how it all came.
That's so interesting. The social emotional learning is becoming more and more talked about. I've got mixed feelings of it. I asked my wife, do I feel safer today than I did 10 years ago when like everybody was rough and tumble, or do I feel safer, now that we're all connected more emotionally and I've got mixed feelings, you know what I mean? But
I do too.
The world's a scary place. But I think when it comes to parenting and like building trust early on with children, that there could play a very important and critical role in that early education aspect, especially around trust. What are some of the ways that you implement that into your day-to-day and how you teach with your kids, with that in mind?
Well, I mean, like I said, I've been teaching a long time, and kids are really in crisis right now. Oprah just put a video out about how 10 years ago we got technology in their hands and their brains are rewired. They're wired differently. Their attention spans, including mine, are, 60 seconds. And so you have to teach differently. But the anxiety level in kids is over the top. And so it's imperative. That's why I love the mindfulness piece, because I feel like if you're not present, it's hard to learn social emotional learning skills. Right. How are you going to teach a kid who doesn't even have an awareness of his own self or his own?
Yeah, at least we grew up not having cell phones in our hands. Now kids today don't even know what that looks like.
We played, we talked, we had to be organized about our planning. I mean, it's just so different, but there's too much readily available for them. And but anyway, so because of all of this, I think it's a huge reason of it. COVID.
My wife and I were talking like if anything ever happened to us, we wanted to make sure that we had pictures of each other for the kids, with the kids and everything. So as we started doing this, we started realizing how much our phone's in the picture. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden when you think that you can deny it, but when somebody snaps a picture without you knowing about it, how often is your phone in your hand, or, you know what I mean? It's a huge piece of our lives. And it's, something I'm definitely personally working on getting away from more, but
then you get in trouble for it because you don't answer right away, and that's society that's ruined that.
And you're part of the anxiety process, right?
Oh well, in the class, I didn't even answer the question. In the classroom, we do a lot of breathing. We'll do chair yoga, some Tai Chi, some Qigong, and I play binaural beats through class, and it makes a huge difference. So
so this mindfulness and SEL is a big part of the central of your work. How do you implement and use technology as a part of that as well?
How do I use tech? Oh my gosh, I'm known as the app smasher of all of the things. I think, and I have a computer lab in my class, so I'm lucky that way. But like I said earlier, filming is this much of the process. So the brainstorming and all of those things are really important. So you got to get the kids off the devices.
Right.
We're real big on practicing off the green screen before we get on the green screen, so the kids are ready to go. Using AI now to help the process. So a lot of AI is coming into it. It's been fun.
I love watching where AI is going. It's like this is our internet, of 30 some years ago when people were trying to adopt the internet and be comfortable putting your credit card on there. That was a big deal, right?
Right.
Now with, Gen AI and Chat GDP being on the forefront, you see both sides, the fear and the excitement about what technology can do. To me,
we saw that with the internet.
Yeah, we
remember?
did.
Do you
we
remember?
Saw it with
Everybody
the internet.
freaked out.
We saw it with so many different things, and now it's becoming more and more common. Crypto is another one of those things, and now I think everybody knows what crypto is today, right? So somebody asked me, I get these people that'll come in and be like, oh yeah, look at how good crypto's doing. I'm like, well, I bought mine when it was like $7,000. That's how long ago it is.
Wow.
Like, it's been a minute, but when I did it, it was 100% by accident. I had to get something and they oh, you need to download this crypto in order to get the payment faster. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, well, what do I do with this now?
What do I do with this?
And it was early enough where people well, I'm really not that sure. So there it sits, right? But it worked out. Definitely worked out.
Congrats.
But to watch technology change, it's super exciting.
It's like Christmas for me. I love it.
You've been recognized for top 30 in IT influencer people in EdTech magazine by EdTech 12 magazine. You've also got to talk at conferences like South by Southwest.
That was a big deal.
Walk us through what you do to promote your brand. Obviously, you're doing something that a lot of young founders aren't. How do you go about doing that?
Well, it's funny you said that. I was actually going to ask your advice off camera because that piece for a school teacher is not a natural thing. So I don't know if I actually promote my brand. I think I just post really silly videos at 2 a.m. because I find it funny and it just kind of goes from there. But no, I speak at a lot of conferences, and this past year has been quite exciting. I'm an ambassador of a lot of these companies too, and that's where a lot of opportunities come from. But for South by Southwest, that was a huge surprise. Canva sent me. They sent me to Austin to speak on stage with Jason Wilmot, who's the director of education for Canva.
Oh, wow.
Kelly Gibson, who is an amazing TikTok star for teachers. Gibson is here. And then Guy Kawasaki.
Oh, I've met Guy a few times.
I was going to say, I think he told me that because he's a funny text. He texts me all the time. But Guy Kawasaki just wrote Think Remarkable, this amazing book. And so wasn't he the evangelist for Apple?
I'm not 100% there. The reason why I know him is because he's an ambassador of Mike Tyson's schools in Arizona. So I met him through there.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, so that was a big deal, and a lot of things come from that. It just kind of and then I did a Harry Potter and AI session at FETC. That's a wonderful conference in Florida, and we had 700 people show up.
Is that the homeschool conference? No.
FETC, the Future of Education.
Okay. Yes. What are some of the things that, as you mentioned, AI is changing things. It's changing things definitely in your world. Every day. What are some things that you're excited about, and what are some things you're not so excited about?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is.
I think I'm not excited that people are saying things like, well, what do you need a green screen for? And that's why I explained to people, I said, it's not about the green screen, it's about the experience for the kids. So that kind of gets on me too, because it's still the best way to remove the background. I mean, with videos, it still is better than any AI. But things I'm excited about is getting life back. People are getting time with their kids. People are getting time to go grocery shopping. I mean, all these things. And, how many recommendation letters can I write? I don't need to do that anymore. And I always tell the teachers, I'm like, you don't need to redo skills you've done a million times and use that brain space. Use the tech. We use Roombas.
Use the technology.
You have a Roomba, right? Okay. You don't have to push your vacuum anymore. You do face recognition, so you don't have to put in you've been using AI for a while. So I'm sad that, I'm part of the movement to help teachers get away from the fear. But I show them like CurePod or something, and they're like, I get presents. I got kissed on the mouth once by a friend of mine. She said, I said, I didn't invent AI. She was so excited.
That's interesting. you get both sides, right? People that want to learn more and people that want to stay as far away from it as
Oh,
possible.
yes.
There's
Including
no
admin.
perfect world.
Mhm.
But the
Yes.
teachers that do adopt it, I think, see those benefits early on, especially in time saving. We don't need to recreate the wheel anymore. Somebody else can do that for us, and let's spend time on things that technology can't do. We can't connect with people
We
on
can
a
be with
personal
people
level.
more. We can
Yeah.
get these tasks done, and we're working too hard. Especially Americans, we're working too hard. Yeah.
What are some of the things you see yourself doing with your green screen work next? Like, what's next on your list of things to get
You mean my vision board?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know if I should say it all. My dream. I've been teaching. I've been I'm 55 coming up, so I love the classroom, but I feel like the walls. I'm ready to bring this joy to the planet. I really want kids working on these projects, but also love to make some online courses. I want to be a content creator, and I want my home to be Green Screen Gals Studio.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
That's
it's right
cool.
on the ocean, and it's like so that would be wonderful. I love to travel, so I'm kind of doing it, but I would like it to pay my bills. So I don't know how to. That's why I need you to help.
Well,
me.
I'll give you all the advice I can give.
Yeah.
I just kind of stumble around it and
If it paid my bills, I'd be
try
so
and learn
happy.
it
I love
something new
doing
every
this.
day. But I know that there is times like when you watch on social media that green screens really trend and the algorithm really loves people building content on green screens.
Yes.
So we did see maybe a few months ago with the huge trend on green screens, and it circles in and out. And then I think during COVID, there was a lot of really funny commercials created with people using green screens.
Hilarious.
Like the guy that was
Yeah.
like in the meetings while he was skiing and stuff.
I love those.
Those are awesome.
Is it hotel.com or what is the other? He's always, or Captain Obvious on his green screen. Yeah. Justin Timberlake and Ed Sheeran have a really funny video on green screen. And
they do trend. And my kids, they're 10 now and they think that that's what every person has. I guess my kids are lucky, as you can see the studio equipment here. They just think everybody wakes up and has a YouTube studio in their home, right? So
I'll tell you, I've watched classrooms go from what's this green screen? Why would we have that to what it is now? And that to me is so exciting. That's the goal of mine, is to get a green screen in every classroom, especially
cool.
Social studies. You could, have the kids reenact history, have them clone themselves and interview. You dress up as Abraham Lincoln, and then you yourself, they will remember that. They will watch it over and over again, and they will never forget it.
And we know that content is king, especially, in the classroom. And the work that we do, we use consumer-driven content that is interest-driven by the individual student on our platform. So we promote reading through content that they want to engage with.
Right.
And to me, it was like a no-brainer. And there's no other companies that do that, like the same way that we do. There's companies like Ello out there that will ship you some books and they have a great product. But the way that we use voice and content and match it with the users seemed like a no-brainer.
It is.
But
it's brilliant.
And the companies that are really flourishing are, like Roblox, and where kids can go and create their own journeys. So,
and we're doing a disservice if we don't teach them tech. I mean, you can balance the tech, and it breaks my heart to see teachers struggling because these kids learn differently. I don't teach the same way I used to teach.
Right.
But having things like CurePod, where the kids are interacting with you, they can answer questions without having their name or have to talk in front of their peers. And
right.
It's magical. And I always start with teachers. I said, why don't let's take a lesson you've always done that you love, and let's see what I can do to help it be incorporated with tech and also make it easy for you, but also have some assessment, like let them make a video instead of a poster.
Right.
I had a student do that the other day, and he's like, Ms. Sandstrom, I throw my posters away 2 days later. I made this video about convection and I cooked burgers, and his video is really good. And he goes, I've watched it so many times. My grandma has it on her Facebook page. All my friends have watched it. I will never forget convection for the rest of my life, Ms. Sandstrom.
Yeah, and it's because it allows you to be a piece of the learning journey.
Yes.
The experience.
Yes.
And I mentioned to you before we started, I've had 13 different companies. And the number one thing that I sell every time is the experience, no matter what that looks like, whether it's live entertainment in studios, whether it's providing services for a customer, it's the experience. And that's what people keep coming back
There's
for.
steps. I used to own a company called the Painter's Pub. I taught people, and when they go to restaurants and learn how to paint, and I had hundreds of people. So that taught me how to get on stage.
There you go. I've got to get to do so I'm like you. I don't walk first. I usually run. My first talk was at TechCrunch with Shaq. That was the first public speaking
I know. How
event
exciting.
I ever had. My next major public speaking event, I think, will be like maybe the third time I've spoken in front of people outside of our podcast. Yeah, it is. So I did TechCrunch. I did
wow.
Oxford University on a topic of reading, and now I'm doing a TED Talk. Those are my first three.
That's the one on my vision board, TED Talk.
So I might know a guy can
nice.
But I always end the show with question around networking. A lot of young entrepreneurs watch our show, but from a teacher standpoint, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, how do you leverage your network, and what's some advice you'd give to somebody young, really just getting started?
Leverage my network. You mean just to keep
just how do you use it in your everyday life? Like, and maybe this is some people don't utilize it properly, but a lot of the people that I know that can really accelerate their companies, they really dig into their friends group. They really dig into their professional group. Your classroom or your school is your class teachers, your network. You know what I mean? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I think it's important to find your tribe, or it's important to find your audience and what your niche is.
Right.
Everyone wants to have a lot that they're doing, but mine is a very strange green screen and mindfulness. Like, right? Who would ever thought that? So find your niche. Always find what you're really good at naturally and what you love, and make them the same. I have a friend who's he loves math. He's really good at math.
And
he loves baseball. So he went to work for the Arizona Diamondbacks as their number cruncher, and he's now the manager.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always tell that story and I have a lot of them like that. But also with social media, I feel like understanding the kinds of posts that will really touch people's hearts or make them laugh.
Talk with your audience.
And one piece of advice I had was have a schedule. Every Tuesday, post a quote. It doesn't have to do with what you're doing. Every Wednesday, you're going to do a live. Every Thursday.
Yeah, if you can simplify and make it consistent, is a big part of it.
But find followers that actually are your people, not just numbers. It's not about the numbers. Is that good advice? I don't know.
Yeah, it's all good advice. Every piece registers for somebody else differently, right? And that's why I do this, is because I find people interesting. I want to understand how their journey's gone, so I can try and shorten my trip. And I was having these calls and classifying them as mentorship calls, and then all of a sudden I'm blessed. Jeff Hoffman's on our board, and he created Priceline, and so Jeff's
some cool people,
a friend of ours, and I was like, Jeff, I learned a lot from. I hired him as a coach first.
That's
good advice. I learned a lot from these calls.
Yes.
Could I record one and show somebody what coaching looks like? And then he's like, well, why don't we do a podcast? And then so the business of education.
And here you are.
So here we are.
Well, you just said that perfectly too. You need to learn from others, and forget about what's that thing called when people get worried that they're going to do something somebody else does. I can't even remember that term. I can't even say it. You know what I'm talking about. God. Anyway, someone said this to me once, and it really helped me to just focus on how I do things. They said, Erica, there could be 10,000 green screen gals. This world's so big. It's so big.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to find them, and let's pull together and see what we can create.
Yeah, we do. I pull in people from the literacy space all the time, just because they've already ran into some of the challenges that I have. But Erica, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show. And we look forward to having you back one day. Oh, I do need to know though, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, learn more about how to get involved in green screens, how are they going to do that?
Well, it's kind of easy to find me, Green Screen Gal, on most socials, or Green Screen Gal 44 and a couple of them. I also have a website, greenscreengal.com, and my free bubbles, if you want to teach your kids how to breathe, is bit.ly/my breathing bubble course, all free.
And we'll put the links to those in the description for you. But
I love when people reach out. I love helping people with this.
Erica, thank you so much
for
coming on the show.
Thank you so much.